This is the greatest warrior who ever lived. No sword, no spear, no entire army could stop him, because as a baby, his own mother made him almost impossible to kill. But how do you make a baby invincible? And why did she leave one tiny spot on his body unprotected, one place where he could still be killed? Now here's the craziest part. This warrior was given a choice: live a long, happy, ordinary life and be forgotten forever, or die young in battle and have his name remembered for 3,000 years. He chose to die young. But why would anyone choose that? Stay with me, because every single answer is coming. This is Achilles. Achilles wasn't a normal boy. His father, Peleus, was the king of a tough warrior people called the Myrmidons. But his mother, Thetis, wasn't human at all. She was a sea nymph, a goddess of the ocean. That made Achilles a demigod, half human, half divine. From the moment he was born, everyone could feel he was special, stronger, faster, braver than any child should be. But Thetis knew something terrible. A prophecy said her son was fated to die in battle, and a mother will do almost anything to save her child. So she came up with a plan, a dangerous, magical plan. To make her baby invincible, Thetis took him to the River Styx, the river that separated the world of the living from the world of the dead. Its waters held magical power. Holding him tightly by one heel, she dipped baby Achilles into the black water. And it worked. His skin became unbreakable. No blade could ever cut him. But there was a fatal mistake. The one place her fingers covered, the heel she held him by, never touched the water. That tiny spot stayed as weak as any human's. His mother had made him almost unkillable and left one secret door open. Remember that heel. It changes everything. Achilles wasn't raised in a palace. He was sent to live with the strangest teacher in all of Greece, Chiron, a centaur half man, half horse. But Chiron wasn't a wild beast. He was the wisest being alive, and he trained the greatest heroes. He taught Achilles everything: how to fight with a spear, how to hunt, how to heal wounds with secret herbs, and even how to play music. To make him strong, the stories say Achilles was fed the insides of lions and wild boars. By the time he was a teenager, Achilles wasn't just a boy anymore. He was a weapon, and soon the whole world would need him. Then came the hardest choice anyone could ever face. A prophecy revealed Achilles had two possible futures, and he had to pick one. Path 1, stay home, live a long, peaceful, happy life, grow old, have a family, but be completely forgotten by history, like he never existed. Path 2, sail to war, become the greatest hero the world would ever know, his name remembered for thousands of years, but die young, far from home. Think about that. A long, happy life that nobody remembers, or a short blaze of glory that lasts forever. Achilles chose glory. He chose to die young, and with that choice, his fate was sealed. But his mother, Thetis, still refused to let him go. Desperate to keep her son alive, she came up with one last trick. She hid him. She sent Achilles to a faraway island called Skyros, to the palace of King Lycomedes, and disguised him as a girl, hidden among the king's daughters under the name Pirha, which means the red-haired. For a while, it actually worked. The greatest warrior alive was hiding in a dress, and nobody suspected a thing. He even fell in love with one of the princesses, Deidamia, and they had a son. But you can't hide a legend forever. Because the Greeks had just discovered they couldn't win their war without him. The Greeks were about to fight the biggest war in history, the war for Troy, and a prophecy warned them they could not win it without Achilles. So they sent their cleverest man, Odysseus, to find him. But how do you spot a warrior hiding among girls? Odysseus was smart. He laid out a pile of beautiful gifts, jewelry, dresses, and hidden among them weapons. While the real girls admired the jewelry, Odysseus had his men suddenly blast a war trumpet and fake an enemy attack. Instantly, one girl grabbed a spear and shield, ready to fight. It was Achilles. The disguise was over. His destiny was calling, and he answered. Achilles sailed to Troy with the largest army the world had ever seen, 1,000 ships full of Greek warriors. Their goal, to capture the mighty walled city of Troy. But Troy's walls were so strong, that the war dragged on for 10 long years. And in all that time, one warrior stood above every other. Achilles. He was unstoppable, leading his fierce Myrmidons, winning every battle, striking fear into the whole Trojan army. The Greeks believed that as long as Achilles fought for them, they could not lose. He was their greatest weapon. But their greatest weapon was about to turn against them, not because of an enemy, but because of an insult. The leader of the Greek army was a proud king named Agamemnon. And Agamemnon made a huge mistake. He insulted Achilles. To end a deadly plague sent by a god, Agamemnon was forced to give up a prize of his own. So to save face, he simply took Achilles' prize instead, a captured woman named Briseis. To Achilles, this wasn't just about a person. It was a public attack on his honor and his pride, the two things a Greek hero valued most. Achilles was beyond furious, and he made a decision that would cost thousands of lives. If Agamemnon wouldn't respect him, then Achilles was done fighting. This rage is where the famous poem, the Iliad, truly begins. So Achilles did the unthinkable. He walked away from the war. He went to his tent, put down his weapons, and refused to fight, and he took his elite Myrmidon warriors with him. Without their greatest hero, the Greeks started losing. Badly, the Trojans pushed them back all the way to their ships, and Greek soldiers died by the hundreds. Achilles just watched it happen. He was so hurt by the insult that he let his own people be crushed, hoping Agamemnon would finally learn his lesson. But his stubborn pride was about to cause a tragedy he never imagined, one that would break his heart and unleash a monster. Achilles had one person he loved more than anyone in the world, his closest friend and companion, Patroclus. As Patroclus watched the Greeks getting slaughtered, he couldn't take it anymore. He begged Achilles to fight, but Achilles was too proud. So Patroclus asked for one thing instead: "Let me wear your armor." The idea was clever. If the Trojans saw the famous armor of Achilles charging at them, they would panic and run, thinking the great warrior had returned. Achilles agreed, but gave one strict order: scare them off, then come straight back. Do not chase them. Patroclus put on the armor of a legend, and he did not come back. Quick question before we go on. Achilles was almost unkillable, but where was his one weak spot? Was it his hand, his heel, or his chest? Think fast. The answer is his heel. Remember that, because it is about to change everything. Wearing Achilles' armor, Patroclus was incredible. He drove the Trojans back and saved the Greek ships. But then he made the one mistake Achilles warned him about. He didn't stop. He chased the Trojans all the way to the walls of Troy. And there, Troy's greatest warrior was waiting, Prince Hector. With the help of the god Apollo, Hector struck Patroclus down and killed him. When the news reached Achilles, something inside him broke. His best friend was dead, and it was partly his own fault, because his pride had kept him out of the battle. His grief was so powerful it shook the heavens, and it transformed instantly into something terrifying: rage. Now nothing on earth could stop Achilles. His anger was superhuman. His goddess mother, Thetis, saw his fury and gave him a gift fit for the moment: brand new armor forged by Hephaestus, the god of the forge himself. It was the most beautiful and powerful armor ever made, a shield covered in the entire world, glowing like fire. Achilles strapped it on. He was no longer just a grieving man. He was a weapon of the gods with one single purpose: find Hector and make him pay. The Trojans had killed the one person Achilles loved. Now Achilles was coming for all of them, and the battlefield would run red. Achilles tore through the Trojan army like a storm until he found the man he wanted, Hector. Even brave Hector felt fear, and he ran. Achilles chased him 3 times around the walls of Troy. Finally, Hector turned to fight. He tried to make a deal: whoever wins, treat the loser's body with respect. But Achilles refused. He wanted revenge, not honor. They charged, and Achilles drove his spear straight into the one gap in Hector's armor at the neck. Troy's greatest hero was dead. But Achilles wasn't finished. In his rage, he tied Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it through the dust around the city as Hector's family watched and wept. It was a cruel act, And the gods were watching too. Dragging Hector's body was an insult to the gods, and it sealed Achilles' fate. Not long after, during the fighting at the gates of Troy, the Trojan prince Paris, Hector's brother, raised his bow. Paris was no great warrior, but he didn't need to be, because the god Apollo, furious with Achilles, guided his arrow. Of all the places on Achilles' unbreakable body, that single arrow flew to the one spot that was never protected, the heel his mother had held all those years ago. The greatest warrior who ever lived, who no army could defeat, was killed by one arrow to the heel. The baby dipped in the river had come full circle. So was it worth it? Achilles chose a short life of glory over a long life of peace, and 3,000 years later, we are still telling his story. His name never died. In fact, we still use it every single day. When we talk about someone's one great weakness, we call it their Achilles heel. There's even a muscle in your own leg named after him, the Achilles tendon. Achilles wasn't perfect. He was proud, he was angry, and his choices got people killed. But he was also the ultimate hero, unstoppable, unforgettable, and human, because even a near-immortal warrior had one weakness, just like all of us. He got exactly what he chose, to be remembered forever. So here's my question for you. Would you choose a long, ordinary life or a short, famous one? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more legends who once ruled the world, subscribe. See you in the next one.